So, to embody this divine presence, this divine guidance, we need to, first of all, understand and recognize ourselves as consciousness. We need to understand that it is a vital, essential part of our lives. We can't be separated from it. It is our essence. It is the very essence that substantiates and programs our realities. It is the very fiber of our beings. And then once we understand this consciousness as being this vital part of our beings, then we have to find out the ways in which consciousness supports itself. What is the inherent character and nature of this consciousness? And how does that relate to how we conduct and lead our lives? Are we following the principles and fundamentals that bring more awareness, more energy, more vitality, more peace into our lives, that brings more happiness into our lives? Then we are following this Dharma, this absolute truth, these divine principles and fundamentals. When we lead our roles in life perfectly, when we take responsibility, a lot of people don't like the idea that to be on a spiritual path means you have to be perfect as you can be. There's this huge stigma against doing a good job for some reason with the spiritually minded people. But if we understand the nature of consciousness is perfection, then why would we not want to embody that as much as possible? Why would we not want to embody that perfection? By conducting our lives as perfectly as possible. You are drawing strength from consciousness itself. You are drawing something that is fundamentally inherent. It reminds you of your nature when you fulfill your role in life perfectly, when you bring all of your focus and attention to your task at hand, when you pull all of your attention and drive it forward with courage, with strength, right? Everything that comes to us in life is a result of our own consciousness wanting to work things out for us. Every time we have a moment of struggle, where we have a moment of opposition, whether the opposition is outward or inward, right? Where we have something that almost seems like it's defying us, or it's telling us or making us want to stray from the path of leading that life of responsibility and perfection, taking responsibility for ourselves, whether it's fear, whether it's delusion, whether it's simply we just don't want to. We feel it's too hard. We have to understand that anything that pulls us away from taking responsibility and trying to lead our lives as perfectly as we can, trying to fulfill our role as perfectly as possible, then that itself is delusion. God doesn't lay down when things get hard. God isn't defeated either. If we feel defeated, if we feel like we weren't able to do something properly or accomplish it, we are missing something. So it's a time for that self reflection, to reassess the energies, to reassess everything we're bringing into that action, into whatever we're trying to do in our lives, to reassess and reevaluate where we're coming from. Are we in alignment? Are we disciplined within our bodies, within our emotions, within our minds to following this perfectly? A lot of people think just the physical action, right? Let's say you want to wash your dishes and you're saying, I'm going to fulfill this perfectly as possible. But they don't realize the whole time while they're washing the dishes might be perfect, they might be shining. But maybe your mental and emotional state is full of chaos. It's full of hate. It's saying, I don't want to do the dishes, or I'm better than this. I shouldn't be having to do the dishes. That fight within you is the fight that you must overcome. That is your opponent. That is your worthy opponent, worthy of your soul. Because anything that's hard for you have to understand that you use more strength, you draw more strength from God and from your spirit than when it's easy. If you want to develop your muscles in the gym, you're not going to lift just 5 pound weight every single time. You're going to start off with 5 pounds. And then when that becomes easy, you move on to 10 pounds. You increase the weight if you want to increase your abilities. Similarly, we need to draw out more of this strength, more of this manifest divinity into our lives. And in order to do that, we need a worthy opponent. We need something worthy of our divinity. We need something worthy of that strength. And it's only a good opponent, a hard opponent, that can bring out that strength in us. You don't get strong by taking the easy route. And when you do this properly, when you're able to fully assess, self-reflect, and use that courage and strength that you draw from experience, because life is the greatest teacher of all. And every moment, you don't need some, shining magical practice or exercise. Life is the practice. Life is the exercise. Life is the greatest spiritual practice there is. Life can be what you bring into each moment. We want something, you know, plated in gold and shining and obvious and, with a bunch of angels trumpeting around it saying, this is your, spiritual exercise. This is what you need to do to grow and evolve and become enlightened. We want it to appear to us like that. We have these high expectations that these things that we need to do in our life need to be coated in, glory themselves. And in reality, it's the mundane things, it's the little things, it's the things that we don't give a second look at that usually are the ones that are the worthy opponents that actually can draw more from us than those shining, glistening things. And as we raise in consciousness, as we become more aware, as more of this strength manifests into our lives, as well as this light being transmitted to us from an enlightened teacher, right? We gain this clarity and this awareness, and we're able to be in tune with our intuition. Our intuition is just being in tune with the spirit. Our intuition is the sensorial faculty, well, beyond sensorial, it's the sense of the soul. It's how the soul perceives life. And the soul perceives life as complete because the soul is complete. That's the nature of God, is that completion. It is happiness, it is self-effulgence. So the nature of the soul is the same. It is our connection to God. It is that divine presence. So if we're operating with our intuition, our intuition sees things as whole and complete. It does not perceive things from the partiality of the senses or the mind or the emotions. The minds, our thoughts, our emotions, our senses, they chop reality into little tiny bits. They segregate and categorize reality. So you never perceive everything altogether. You perceive things that make reality a very particular way. And so long as we see life as a very particular way, it's right when you're a little kid in kindergarten and you're learning the alphabet, you don't know what those symbols like A, B, C, D, you don't know what those letters mean yet. You don't know what those wiggly lines mean. In order to understand an A, right, you have to block out everything that an A is not. You are now in a partiality of reality. You are now perceiving one thing that's very distinct and concrete on its own. But in order to do that, in order to see an A like that, we have to recognize what an A is not as well. An A is not like this. An A is not something else. An A looks very specifically like this. That's how the mind works. That's how the human mind works. So in our lives, right, our experiences of life, what we do with our experiences, especially when we're very attached to them and we're not in tune with this divine presence, is we start to block out other possibilities within our own consciousness. We start to block out other things that can't exist if this exists. And this is something that is important for us to be able to do because that's how you have a mind. That's how you can function and operate as an individual, as, a finite life form. Is you need a sense of self, right? If you want to know, hey, I got to eat food, I have to sleep, I have to use the bathroom. These kinds of things require a sense of self. But in the enlightened, the sense of self is so thin, it's so delicate, it's so fine that all that's really there is this self-effulgent divine light that emanates from them completely and all the time. And to be in that presence, even for a moment, can change you completely. It can dissolve all your old parameters of being and make available to you entirely new parameters, entirely new possibilities. It makes things available to you. It brings greater awareness and energy into your life. And you need more awareness in order to know how to live life in accordance with those divine principles and fundamentals, how to lead your life in accordance with more divine grace.